Hey guys, it's me. It's Queen Osset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. All right, remember also, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and pass it on to somebody else who may like it as well. And if you have time, I would love to hear from you in the comment section. All right, so let's talk about something interesting. A young lady told me that she is a Pisces and her boyfriend is a Pisces. And they're having an argument right now because he's accusing her of emotionally cheating with her ex-boyfriend. So she wants me to tell her how I feel about what's going on, if she's really emotionally cheating, and what do I think about emotional cheating in general. First of all, let's talk about what emotional cheating is. Emotional cheating, and it is a real term, because some people will say emotional cheating isn't real. Those are usually people who are emotional cheaters. I've come to find. And a lot of times it's men. But then when I looked it up, I saw why. Because men are more likely, according to statistics, to emotionally cheat. 45% of men admitted to emotional cheating, whereas only 35% of women were found to be or admitted to emotional cheating. So I was like, okay, so people that do it might not be too keen on actually admitting that it's a real thing. But what is it? Basically, emotional cheating is when you are having an affair with someone, but you're not having sex with them. You're not having sex with them yet, or you're not having sex with them because they're too far away. In this case, this young lady lives in California with her boyfriend, and the ex-boyfriend lives all the way in New York State. They have not been together in years. He was her boyfriend when she was in college. We're talking like about 10, 15 years ago. So they're not having physical sex, you know, but like I said, everything else is going on. They're talking dirty after dark. Y'all know how that is. You know, she's waiting for her boyfriend to go to sleep and, you know, having conversations with this man. And I said, well, if there's nothing wrong with it in your mind, why are you sneaking? And she's like, well, because my boyfriend will go ballistic if he knows I'm talking to him. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not just talking to him. See, if you're just talking to him, that's just a friend, you know, and it's fine to have a friend of the opposite sex. That's fine. You know, I don't see anything wrong with that. But if you're talking about what you would do to each other or what you used to do to each other, like in this case, you know, they're sending each other naked pictures, you know, this is definitely emotional cheating. And she's confiding in him about her relationship, you know, and she's like, well, he's on the other part, you know, he's in the other half of the country and I'm never going to see him again. We're not making plans to see each other. He's in, you know, he's in a situationship. He's seeing somebody, but it's not serious. And she's living with her boyfriend. So she's like, she doesn't see it as being, you know, anything because they're not making plans to see each other. It's been going on for quite some time. And she's saying like, you know, at different parts of her life, they've talked. You know, this isn't the first time he's popped up in one of her relationships. So she's like, you know, nothing's going to happen. I haven't seen him in years. And I'm like, but you're still emotionally cheating. You're doing everything except sex with this other person. And this is something that happens a lot. It happens a lot online. Sometimes a person will find themselves talking to somebody online all the time. And this person it might not start off as infidelity. It might start off as just a friend. But over time, the conversations get increasingly more inappropriate. If you're sending somebody pictures of your naked body and your genitalia, and you're in a relationship and your boyfriend's in the other room, you can't tell me you're not doing anything. No, you're not doing anything physically, but that is something. And she said to me, she didn't feel like he had a right to be upset about it because nothing technically is going on. And I'm like, yeah, but again, that's where the emotional cheating part is coming in at. You are having all kinds of conversations and doing all kinds of inappropriate things with this man. Now, if you promised your boyfriend to be in a monogamous relationship, you can't now play little games online with your ex and act like nothing's wrong. It very much is wrong. So we talked about it for a long time, and we, went back and forth about it. And I told her another thing about this whole thing. And for any of you who are experiencing this or who will experience this, one of the things about it, it's not so much the betrayal, because that's a problem. The betrayal aspect is a problem. But it's not so much the betrayal that really bothers me. What really bothers me is that if you're emotionally cheating, you're emotionally cheating for a reason. 9 times out of 10, there's something wrong with your relationship. Because why would otherwise would you make time to dip off with this other person? And the problem isn't that something is wrong, because many relationships have something wrong. The problem is that something is wrong and it's not being addressed. Instead of dealing with the problems in your relationship, you're turning to another person to fill the void from the relationship. So, for example, she said that her boyfriend had been busy. He's trying to build a business. So he's been busy. So basically, because their connection, because they used to be very, very connected. So their connection hasn't been the same. So instead of working through the problems in a relationship, working through the connection, staying loyal while he's trying to make his hustle, he's trying to make his money, instead of doing that, you turn to another person to fulfill what you're not getting while your man is busy. And see, this is where the problem comes in, because instead of turning to someone else to get that, or somewhere or to someone else to get what you need, your connection, your feelings, whatever you want, whatever it is you're not getting, if it's whatever, everything, like I said, with the emotional part, is what you're not feeling most of the time. Like you're not feeling connected to him. You're not feeling loved. You're not feeling appreciated. You're not feeling desired. You see, it's a feeling. That's where the emotional part comes at. Because either you're cheating flat out or you're doing this emotional thing. So you're going to someone else to get your emotional needs, and you're not working on your relationship. So you're never going to get your emotional needs fulfilled by your relationship. And the other part about emotional cheating that's a problem is that 9 times out of 10, it does lead to physical cheating. Some of the times it doesn't. Some of the times it's just consistent, talking and that kind of stuff, and nothing really comes of it other than that, except for the fact that it has emotionally come between you and the other person. But some of the times it turns into physical cheating, because eventually you want to see that person again. Eventually you want to have sex. Eventually you want to spend time. Eventually they're going to be in your city for business and they want to see you for coffee. Then what? You've been talking to this person for 3 years, 2 years, 6 months. You've been talking to this person, talking dirty, showing them your breasts and everything else. And now all of a sudden, because of circumstance, they're going to be around the corner from you. So sometimes it does absolutely lead to cheating. When I was very, very young, I think I was in my early 20s, I was in a relationship like this. I don't even know if I want to call it a relationship. I guess it kind of is. But to me, it's just, it's like a ghost of one, basically. But I was in one of these with somebody. He was married. I was married when we first came together. And then I stopped. No, I wasn't married. I was engaged, and he was married in a solid relationship. I stopped being engaged. I left the person that I was with, and the relationship continued. But the relationship between us, even though we were on 2 different coasts, was inappropriate from day one. from day one, there were inappropriate innuendos and little jokes and, little things like that immediately. And it just continued, and it continued for years and years and years and years, off and on, because some of the times one of us would break it off and then it would come back together. And that's another thing about emotional cheating. You find yourself feeling addicted to the person. Like, even though you're not sexually or physically coming together, you feel yourself addicted to the emotional connection. And like I said, if you're doing this and you're single, that's one thing. But if you're doing this and you have a wife, like in his case, it's a total different thing. And it did lead to us eventually seeing each other and sleeping together. So, like I said, a lot of times these things can become a problem. In reality, what he should have been doing, instead of emotionally cheating with some chick across the world, is working on his relationship, working through the kinks in his marriage, whatever they may have been. And that's the biggest problem with emotional cheating, is that it's taken away from the relationship between the two people. So she absolutely is, in this scenario, she absolutely is emotionally cheating. And what would I do if I was her? This was her last question. What would I do? I would stop talking to him. I would completely cut him off. I would tell him, I would be like, look, I'm in this relationship. I'm trying to make this work. And staying emotionally connected to you is not a good idea for me to be able to do that. I care about you. We had our time. And I'm going to stop communicating with you. And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me, to stop contacting me, to stop emailing me, to stop texting me. And I would stop, right? A cold turkey right then and there. And if he did not stop, I would just block him. I would block him on everything, and I would refuse to speak to him. Because the bottom line is that you might get tempted. Remember I said it's addictive. So if you're addicted to him, if you're addicted to this emotional connection, then you might be tempted to go back. So I would totally cut him off cold turkey. And then I would start working on my relationship and figuring out what's lacking in my relationship. The other alternative to that is maybe you're still in love with the ex and need to go back to him. And only you know the answer to that. It's either one or the other. And if it is the fact that you're still in love with the ex and want to go back to him, then you and him need to have that conversation. Because maybe that's what needs to happen. Because sometimes that is what needs to happen. And sometimes you need to cut that fool off, focus on your man, and what y'all trying to do together, and move on. So it's only one of the two. And if it was me, I would figure out which one it was. Do I need to leave this man for my ex? Is there unfinished business? Am I still in love with him? Is our relationship salvageable? That's another thing. Like, the reasons that you left him, the reasons that he's an ex, are those reasons still present? Because if you leave one to go back to the other one and those things are still present, guess what? You'll end up leaving him again. So I would figure that out. I would figure out which relationship I really want to be in. And then I would commit to that relationship and leave the other person alone and move on with my life. Okay? So that's my advice. I hope everything works out. Thank you for your question. All right, guys, it's time for me to get going. So if you would like a reading, email me and I will give you an appointment. If you would like to chat with me, I'm on social media. I don't have a lot of time for chatting, but I always answer people. Whenever I can get around to it, I will answer you. And I also have my Patreon page information underneath here. Check out my Patreon. Yesterday, I uploaded a new episode of The Witch Trials. All right, guys, it's time for me to get going. See you later.